I'm Herbert. Well, actually, I'm not Herbert. I'm Larry standing in for Herbert, and we have Yashu with us today. Hi, Yashu.
Hi, Larry. Yes, and I guess we're both channeling our inner Herbert today. So
Yes.
take that for what it's worth, folks.
Yeah. So Yashu and I, we haven't talked online or in person before, right?
No, we haven't, but I've definitely heard shows with you, Larry. So
Yeah, and I've definitely followed you. So exciting week. Version 14 is all over the news, and neither of us have it.
nope.
And Yashu is in the interesting position of owning only what is it?
It's
What
a Model
model?
3 2021 standard range plus back then. So yeah, yeah.
I had a Model 3 2017, I think. Then I bought a 2022. Now I have no more Model 3s. Well, actually, it's
Hmm.
not true. I've got a Model 3 that my brother is currently driving, but I'm gonna actually transfer it to him. But that is a AI4 car. Um,
Yeah, yeah. So none of us have version 14 yet, but the videos that we're seeing coming out of version 14 are really spectacular.
yeah,
Is the easy way to put it. I mean, I think Larry has a few slides that we'll show here in a second, but it's incredible to see. Like, of course, we've waited on bated breath a little bit here for version 14. It's been a little bit of time for us to get the next update, but it's every time it comes out, every time a new stat comes out where it's like, wow, like I guess it could do that too, or I guess it could do this too. So, we're seeing it back up into a red light if it can't turn left because people are creeping through. We're seeing the drive through. We're seeing it try to find a parking spot in a really busy Costco shopping area. So these kind of sentient behaviors that are emerging from the car are really incredible to see.
yeah, it's amazing. And you mentioned these two. I'll show it really quickly. Um, and you know, I would recommend everybody actually go and look at it. But I mean, it is extraordinary. So this particular post came today, and it's Devin Olson posting his experience looking for a parking spot in Costco. 20 minutes of driving around the Costco lot, trying to
Yeah.
find a parking space because every parking space is full in the Costco's, at peak hours. And man, this car just trucked on and did it, and nobody actually paid it a second glance, which is the interesting part of it. In other words, it was behaving so human-like that nobody paid it a glance. So
Mhm.
it so Devin posted the entire, a video sped up, but it looks incredibly
Yeah.
human-like. And I just think that, it's worth watching, even if you don't have version 14, as neither of us do. And we're both complaining to each other here about it earlier.
Yeah, and Devin here is a local boy from the Greater Vancouver area, so I'm familiar with his location sometimes that he's driving in. And the couple of things, so this is really cool. It goes around, it's trying to find a spot. Costco here is crazy busy as it usually is, but one of the two quick quirks that I think it had that people pointed out in the comments was one is it didn't wait for people unloading their car like a human kind of would. Like, okay, great, this family's leaving. Let me just stop, throw out my signal, and wait. And then the other one that someone mentioned in the comments was it'd be nice if it could kind of follow people coming out of the parking lot and track them and try to get a spot that way.
As we
But
do.
as we do, and but to be honest, like that, I think it would be it would be nuts if it started to do that in this version. The
Yeah.
fact that it's already circling and trying to find a spot and then finding it and parking is, I think, already crazy enough. And when all intents and purposes, when it comes to Robotaxi, like the service not having this mode on your car, they're going to have loading zones and designated stations for Robotaxis anyway. So them finding a spot in the car finding a spot in the parking lot isn't the end of the
Redundant.
world. It's,
Yeah.
yeah, it really is.
It's a reason to take a robotaxi instead of your own car, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And this next one actually was posted a day or two ago. And, it's our favorite driver, Dirty Tesla. and he's showing that he can go through a drive-through with version 14, and version 14 actually did all the right stops. Stopped at the order taking booth for him to give the order. Howard figured out he had completed the order and moved on to the queue to the actual serving booth. I don't know. It's just a mystery. But the biggest mystery of all is when he stopped and got his food delivered and handed over his credit card, it waited for the credit card to be handed back before it pulled off. I mean,
Mhm.
that's sentient.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure Ashok replied to this one too, saying that it's been trained on some data regarding this, I believe. The drive-through one is particularly interesting because I think a few years ago, some people tried to do testing around stop signs and like human
Yeah.
behavior on construction areas. And it was always like this weird thing where it sometimes did it and people were really impressed, and then it sometimes wouldn't, and people were kind of confused. And it seems like they've done a lot more training this model on the interaction and being able to read signals of what humans are doing. And with drive-throughs, particularly the credit card machine going away, them, and maybe one day it'll pick up on the mic too. Like if the person says like, okay, like your order's good to go or whatever phrasing, it could
Right.
put that into its large language model as well and learn. Again, edge cases, right, that are probably not going to be happening in your robotaxi. I mean, that'd be a really cool feature, but it goes to show the power of the model that Tesla's using with their vision model and the possibilities that it really opens up. Because I don't think a Waymo could possibly do this.
Yeah, we have seen, of course, it in a toll booth, waiting for the toll to be paid and so on and so forth. So it's not entirely, unknown to us. But yeah, I mean, it's incredible. I mean, to it looks like they've come so far. It's really come to a point where you can see, you can smell, you can taste, FSD coming. That's
Yeah.
anyway. That's my view.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you look at it this way, Larry, like they're already launched robotaxis for all intents and purposes, albeit with a supervisor on the older models. And so anything that we get from here on forth, I don't want to say it's a cherry on top, but it's of course it's a march of nines, but it's really the comfortability level of the
Yeah.
drive situation. It's not necessarily can they do it or not. It's how comfortable can we get it and how far can we stress test this? Because it's as it stands, like Tesla's going to get the supervisor out of the car by the end of the year, like even on the older model. The version 14 just makes it smoother and makes it more edge cases. It doesn't, Tesla's remote drivers that might have to intervene at some point if they, when they go supervisorless. It just make it so they just won't need as much of them.
Do you think that version 14.2 and 3 will drop in a tighter sequence than we've seen the version 13 drops?
I hope so. I hope it's faster. What do you think?
I think it almost has to be in order for them to make the end of year deadline. In any case, I personally am skeptical of the end of year deadline.
Okay.
I think it's going to be another month or two. Just,
Okay.
I'm looking at the sequence of the drops in version 12, knowing the kind of testing that has to go through each version release, knowing the kind of sequence of release that they do. I just can't see them fitting into this timeline. I haven't seen the cycle time, the frequency in which all of this takes place as having improved a lot in recent months. I mean, when you think about when version 14 was released internally to now, to how narrow the release has been so far, how long it's already been, 3 days or so, they'd have to be they'd have to be cycling it much faster.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean, there was a theory not too long ago that it would get exponentially faster and faster, which I guess we haven't seen. I mean, they could be doing private internal releases of minor and then not publish them out, and giving their robotaxi cars different updates. But yeah, even if it's a month or two, let's say, Pat, let's say it's spring. of next year, right? It is immaterial in the
Yeah,
long term.
absolutely.
Right? It's okay, spring, summer, who cares? Winter of next year. The fact that it's going to happen in the immediate future here is a game changer for Tesla's core business.
Absolutely aligned. Absolutely aligned. And I think that the potential to expand using assistant driving, what do they call it, supervised driving,
Yeah,
supervised robotaxis is fine, and they should continue and can continue. It probably wouldn't expand as fast. But,
yeah,
I have this thesis that there's a hell of a lot of work to be done at the logistics side of it to get this thing really rolled out. And I think having, assisted driving or whatever it's called,
hmm,
but expanding geographically in order to test and stress test the logistics and to solve the logistics, I think is just as valuable. So,
yeah,
I'm more patient than most people. Everybody expects it to happen, imminently. I'm not aligned, but I'm very happy with progress. And the point
hmm,
is, it's not that material from a timing perspective. I think by the end of next year, we will see the rollout really proceeding at really at scale
yeah,
and without drivers, absent some sort of bad event happening. And even if a bad event happen, which it's going to, it has to, just
yeah.
from the statistical reality of it. Even if they're three times safer than a human being, still means that there's going to be, fatalities. So,
Yeah. And like you said, I think the bottleneck really is going to be logistics once the floodgates do open, where the car is going to charge, who's going to be responsible for them, drop off pickup zones, certain things that logistically for the service to work well have to be ironed out. So totally agree there. Even if we flip the switch tomorrow, could they launch 4,000 cars in a small area? Probably not. They got to figure out some things. So they have some time here. I'm confident that they will. They probably have a plan for it. But the demand is going to be there, right? If,
yeah.
when these robotaxis come out and they're charging the prices that we're seeing, or even comparable to like a Waymo or undercutting them, that demand will exist. So the demand side's not a problem.
Yeah, I don't think the demand is a problem. What is really puzzling, it's not puzzling, it's understandable, is just how few cars Waymo has.
Hmm.
Yeah, and the question is, how quickly does Tesla expand in terms of number of cars? If you were to, have you considered, and do you have a considered number of how many cars you think Tesla will have in the field by the end of next year?
I don't have a tens of thousands is what I'm thinking. I'm quite bullish on this. Like Elon said, a million, right? So if you discount that even a little bit, I mean, you get into the tens of thousands. So I don't know if you have a
Well, I'd
better
be discounting it
model.
by a lot and not a little bit. But yeah, I mean, 10,000 cars is already going to move the needle, right? I think 10,000 cars depends on the pricing, of course. If it's $1 a mile and they're each doing, 100 miles a day, that's about 35,000 miles. That's about right? So
Okay.
it's a $35,000. It's the equivalent of selling hundreds of thousands of cars, but at a much higher margin. So it's the equivalent revenue of a couple of 100,000 cars, but it's the equivalent of probably a million cars in terms of gross profit. So I mean, it could be very, very. If we get to that level, that could move the needle very dramatically.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's like 1.5 million total taxis and Ubers and Lyfts and everything combined in the States. So 10,000 is kind of a drop in the bucket. But
Yeah,
I think the more important point is that, at the end of the day, when we talk about stock price and what's priced into the stock, once you get to the like kind of a significant enough number where it's like, okay, it's not 10 or 20 or 30, it's like hundreds. And it's like, okay, now we're 1,000. Now you start to get to projection levels where Wall
yeah,
Street has to sit down. They have to go, okay, Austin, New York, San Fran, model out how many cars Tesla could launch tomorrow. They have the excess production, let's say, in theory. Can they launch 10,000? Can they launch 20,000? And then you have to sit down and discount that back. Whereas today, if and Wall Street doesn't like to play fair with Tesla, so they've really discounted the Tesla robotaxi business because it's okay, well, Elon talks a lot. Let's let him prove it to us. Whereas when you get to those numbers that you're talking about, thousands, to, 10,000, now it's not hypothetical. Now it's in reality. Maybe it's only one or two cities, but you have to sit down if you're an earnest Wall Street analyst and go, okay, how does Tesla get to 100,000 robotaxis? And how long does it take them? Okay, well, it's going to take them a year and they'll get to this number. They have the production coming in. It'll probably be these cars. This is the pricing model. Tesla has a monopoly, more or less. Waymo doesn't have a significant enough competition in volume, let's say in a year's time. Now we start to get into the nutty territory where Tesla's the only game in town when it comes to
Yeah.
robotaxi vision. And so we know from just the investing perspective, when you're the only game in town, you get a premium for that because there's no competition. If you want to invest into GPUs, I mean, yeah, there's AMD, but there is NVIDIA. Like that is the premium creme de la creme, and everyone likes their GPUs. So if you want to invest into the future of AI, there's only one company really that you can go for. When you want to invest into the future of robotaxi, Uber is trying to a little bit market themselves as the Robotaxi. I think it's to save face and to hold investors just a little bit of stray and be like, hey, we are looking into robotaxis. It's not going to kill us, but you can partner with whoever you want on that. But if you don't have the training data, if you don't have the hardware, if you don't have the infrastructure, you don't have the logistics, which arguably they would have the logistics on it. It's just hard. It's a hard game to have to compete on.
I don't know that they have logistics on it. They have service centers. Their service centers are geared to ICE vehicles. I'm not sure that they have the logistics to handle the kind of quantity we're talking about. But that aside, let's just put that aside. There are a couple of interesting issues that arise from all of this, and the most important in issue is right now we have a handful, 5, 10 analysts who are giving any credence at all to the robotaxi business. And that credence has resulted in a few analysts with a 500 plus, somewhere between 500 and 600 price range for the share for the next 12 months. If those guys are giving some credence, and they're not, very few of them are doing the numbers on it, they're saying, well, we're going to give, in the sum of the parts, we give $100 or $200, and there's very little really serious work done. So we have to imagine that if what you say is true, and these analysts have to pay attention by late next year, where do you think these front runners are going to be at in terms of share price, and where do you think the big body of the analysts are going to be, given their skepticism, even at tens of thousands of cars running around, given their I don't know, safety concerns, given their respect of Uber and so on. What do you think is how is this going to play out?
Well, we know ARK Invest and Kathy are upwards of $3,100 a share for their price target for Tesla. I think their median price target, weighing everything, is about $2,500
Right.
a share. Um, Now, every Wall Street analyst that I think is going to speak privately would tell you that they think that's crazy and there's no
Yeah.
way and they don't believe the model. So if the current consensus on the bull side on Wall Street, excluding Kathy, let's say, is about 5 or 600, I think the robotaxi business gets Tesla into a different category altogether than just hardware and autos. And I think that re-rating that exists likely gets it up to, a couple $1 trillion. Let's say 2 trillion would be about $700, I think,
Yeah.
roughly about that.
Right.
Which is, I mean, if you look at the Mag 7, 2 trillion today is not what 2 trillion was 5 years ago. It's
Exactly.
really not. So I think you start to get into this bucket where if you're a Wall Street analyst pricing Tesla at $100 and they're launching robotaxis every month, everyone's going to look at you sideways. So I think you kind of get firmly into that where the bull thesis is today on the Wall Street. You get that as kind of like the bear base case almost. It just gets pushed up, I think. And then on the flip side, I think what will happen is with the ultra uber bulls like Kathy, they will flip because remember, a lot of their price target really had to do nothing with bot. It didn't have to do with Optimus. And I know we want to talk about Optimus a little bit. It's just Robotaxi mostly is driving that price target. So I think the ultra bulls on Wall Street by this time next year will say Robotaxi's in the bag. Fine, great, re-rate Tesla to whatever it's worth, couple trillion at least. This is my guess. And then I think they'll go, okay, but the next leg for that 10 trillion story is Optimus. And I think all points of view are going to shift towards Optimus once Robotaxi's in the bag. So I think you'll have this same kind of discussion next year with Robotaxi kind of done, signed, sealed, delivered. It's going to happen. It might not be at full scale yet, but like the formula is there. They've done it. It's just, copy and paste. And now it's like, okay, can Tesla actually do this with bots too? I think that's what we'll be talking about in a year's time.
So if what you're saying is that the bullish analysts are going to be in the almost 2000 price range, if I hear you correctly.
I don't know if that's going to ever happen. Well,
Yeah.
not ever, but I don't think in the immediate future because 2000 is far out there, and typically you don't see Wall Street analysts stick out their neck that far. Remember, like these guys are in the business of not optimizing for performance, which you might think they're in the business of optimizing their optics. They'd much rather miss on something than to be deadly wrong. It really
Yeah.
hurts their reputation,
Yeah.
right? So since they're in the, I think they'll like it would be very nice if they could get up to the 8 to 900 level of the bullish parse targets by this time next year. To be determined, but that's about, 700 is about 2 trillion. So, plus or minus that.
Yeah. Yeah. Except if the share price actually is 700, then they're going to have to do something about that, right?
Well, we know how certain people like to operate on Wall Street. If the stock price goes up, well, all of a sudden they find some new revenue sources that they can, they
Right.
can stick into
Right.
their model.
Right. Yeah, I expect a very strong movement in the stock price. I don't know to what, but I expect a very strong movement in the stock price, absent, calamity on the roads with FSD. But I think once FSD does actually remove the drivers, it becomes unsupervised. I think the share price is going to move fairly dramatically.
Hmm.
So your thesis is we're going to see a movement in the share price, a movement by the analysts, and some of the leading analysts are going to start looking at the bot.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of them are. I think a lot of them, would you agree with me that a lot of them are really discounting what the potential of the bot could be for Tesla's
Yeah.
next 10 years? Would you
Yeah,
agree with that?
I agree with you 100%. Though Morgan Stanley has actually set up a humanoid bot division, and they're focused on that very strongly. And the ex auto analyst has become, the bot analyst, and so, or the, the, I guess the, yeah, robotics analyst, not just humanoids, but robotics in general and AI. So I think the leading companies, those people who do the leading research, I think they're beginning to look at that. But, the bot is a way off yet. We know that. And there was some rumor running around X. I don't know if you saw that, but there's some rumor that Tesla suspended the, development of the bot. I mean, so I tried to track it down, and I found that it's World Morocco News or Morocco World News that actually broke that story. But of course, they never did. I mean, what Tesla have done is they've suspended production of the bot until they've solved the hand problem. And I think that story is something that Elon broke, and
Yeah,
Elon spoke about it. So that's pretty clear. Um,
exactly. Yeah.
yeah,
Elon said that they were going to suspend a little bit to figure stuff out and resume later. They had a few key people leave the team too, so I'm sure that probably makes things a little bit more confusing. But uh, where Tesla's gotten to just with where they're currently at, even with the pause in the last 3 years on the development of Optimus, is truly incredible. The exponential growth. Remember, Tesla starts projects not only because they think the products are going to be great, because it attracts a certain type of person that works in Tesla that can work on the Optimus, but also work on the FSD AI, also give insights onto auto. Like this type of person that Tesla attracts with the level of employee, a lot of learning can be transferable. So what I'm guessing is happening with Optimus is maybe there's like a roadblock or something that they're trying to figure out. And rather than spin their wheels and try to build all these bots that they might have to revert on at some point in terms of design, just pause, figure out what they're going to do, prototype, and then scale from there. Because we know Tesla builds cars for a living. To build bots, yes, I mean they're complicated, but Tesla builds bots already on the road. If any company like Figure, for example, like yesterday they just showed that they have a new bot, and they had a great demo. Like these companies are young in their manufacturing life. Like these companies, yes, I wish them the best and that they hope that they do well, but they're no Tesla. Tesla is a manufacturing company through and through. They build the machines that build the machines. So it's not only just solving the bot, but it's scaling the bot that I think Tesla's going to dramatically win in.
Yeah. And so in that call this morning, there was a conversation about who is betting, about when the bots would become, scaled in the marketplace. And there was this conversation. I won't tell you where the conversation went, but I'm interested in your perspective on when you think Tesla will actually scale production and bots will become generally available.
To the public outside of Tesla.
Well, generally scalable, generally available, not only from Tesla but from others as well. So when does the age of the bot begin?
Originally, I think, Larry, if you asked me a few seasons ago, a few quarters ago, I would have said end of 2026. I think I'm probably past that into end of 2027. I think and that's probably, some would say I'm too bullish on that, but I would say 2027 is probably what we're looking at, if not past. Yes, will Tesla have bots internally that they'll use? It'll lower costs, yes. But I think in terms of the scale that Elon's talking about, in terms of the TAM and millions of these bots, and I know that they put out projections, I think it'll be a little bit slower because, once you build these bots and you get them into manufacturing use cases, it'll be a couple pilot tests for a few quarters. People will do white papers on it, talk about how cost reduction has happened in their businesses. And then I think from there you get slow adoption and then it'll be exponential past 2028. The AI also has to be there, which I think Tesla will be the frontier on in terms of like the brain of the bot. But yeah, is that too bullish for you? Or is that too
No,
bearish?
actually, it's too bearish for me. I was the bull in the conversation. I said 2027 because I
Okay.
think there are levels of utilization of usage, different levels of complexity. But my numbers show me that at a relatively low level of complexity, even at a high price, the bot is quite commercially makes commercial sense. So I think that there will be companies who are delivering affordable bots for relatively simple but worthwhile applications. I think that's going to happen in 26. Whether Tesla will be prepared to deliver such a product or not, I don't know. It really largely depends upon how useful those entry level jobs are. But I
Mm.
do know that from an economics point of view, it would pay them to get it out sooner rather than later, even at a loss at a loss per product, as they achieved with their autos, for several years. Um,
That's fair. Um, so you're saying 2027, 2028, early
yeah,
2028?
2027 is, I think, volume production. I think
Okay.
there'll even be some production next year.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, so when do you think V3 is going to get uh, d demoed out? Optimus, the third version.
August of next year.
Okay. So I mean, that tracks. I think some people are saying by the end of this year it's going to come out. I don't think so.
No,
Yeah.
absolutely not.
Yeah.
I mean, in my judgment, I mean,
Yeah.
I could be wrong. I mean, we may be able to see prototypes. Well, we already
Yeah.
see prototypes, I guess, but the prototypes with a new hand, it's possible. It may be possible. It may be possible, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. So the way I project this out almost is, and this, bear with me, it's a very br it's a very brute force analogy, but if you look out when ChatGPT first got commercialized and launched, that was about November of 2022.
That's right.
So we're approaching about 3 years from that this next month. And if you look at the business uptake, the commercial enterprise uptake on something like ChatGPT, it's decent, but it's not very widespread despite being a pretty low end subscription product. I think people like
How many subscriptions do you think OpenAI has?
enterprise level
Well,
or
all subscriptions.
millions, but
No,
enterprise,
no, hundreds of
what is it?
millions. 800
Okay, yeah,
million.
yes. Okay, but for enterprise, right? And you talk about enterprise level production and deployment. I still think it's still in the infancy.
Yes.
When you talk about, when you talk about Fortune 500 enterprise level companies that are presumably going to be the customers for Tesla's bot, these companies are so rudimentary and in terms of technology and so hierarchical and ivory tower that the disruption that's so easy to implement like today, like ChatGPT, Copilot, Gemini, any sort of model into their infrastructure is still a lot lower than I would have guessed a year ago.
But
So,
Yashu, what you say is 100% true, but I'll challenge you with this fact, with this
Mhm.
thought, not this fact. The thought is that we are in a challenging situation in the United States. The United States is trying to reinvent itself as a manufacturer under this
Okay.
administration. That changes the equation. That means that the bot becomes a much more important project than even AI, because in terms of the national project,
Right.
if we were in a different administration, maybe I would differ from you. But I think this administration is going to push for the sooner the better, and is going to be able to you know support experimentation by manufacturers. And the
Hmm.
manufacturers that we're talking about are not necessarily, your traditional legacy Fortune 500 company. It's going to be the Anduril's, the Teslas, the Rivians of this world. And so I think it's going to, it's a different dynamic to the dynamic even of the chat GPT, or the AI applications.
Fair enough. But the only thing is they can't, the government can help subsidize, but they can't speed up technological process. I mean, you can't get
No,
pregnant less
no,
than 9 months.
yeah, but we're not talking about technological process. We're talking about adoption habits.
Hmm.
So yeah, the Fortune 500 companies are very slow to adopt, like AI, and
Yeah.
they'd probably be very slow to adopt manufacturing robots, or humanoid robots in the manufacturing environment. But that's not true of the emerging companies. And the emerging companies may be investing more money than the Fortune 500 into manufacturing.
Hmm. I hope you're right. I really do. I just am a little bit jaded with just how easy something like in integrating an LLM or agentic process into enterprise level company today is so stifled and stymied at every step of the way.
Correct.
And there's people that don't want disruption. When I think about manufacturing, though I agree with you, in the next 10 years, I think it's immaterial. But if we're talking about the curve adoption, I think there is going to be some hesitancy on the physical side. So um, but to counter my own point a little bit, I mean, if like you said, Tesla can just get out a bot that can do one or two processes really well, not the whole thing, not a general purpose, but like just specialized on this use case or any other company for
Yeah.
that matter. Then yeah, I mean, definitely we could see that. But in terms of a bot coming into a household, cleaning up, doing my dishes, all that stuff, I think we're a little bit far out from
Oh,
that.
I think we're 5 years away from that. I think
Yeah.
that while that may be very appealing in terms of general public interest, and it would definitely be a very large market, I think that's the last market that we tackle. I
Yeah.
think the first market, is the dirty, those jobs that are dangerous, dirty, and
Yeah.
what's the other deal?
Danger. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally. Totally.
And there you could start at a very modest level, and my analysis shows it still pays. You
Yeah.
know, in these very simple jobs, and But time will tell. And, I think that we're already seeing fairly large deployment of specialized bots in the warehouses. And,
Yep.
the generalized bot may find a good application there. So we'll see. It'll
Yep.
be very interesting.
I think the biggest partnership potential that if I had to dream up of a dream case scenario for Tesla would be something like Amazon. If Amazon were to secure and procure a few million Tesla bots or something like that, it would be sort of like the Hertz 2021 car deal with Tom Brady 2.0 with the stock, I think. That would be, I mean, Amazon, like you said, does specialize bots today. Like they do a lot of this stuff. But having a general purpose Optimus level partnership with Bezos and Elon, that would be kind of pie in the sky and thinking out loud here.
I don't think it's going to happen. On the other hand, it could be a Walmart that does a bot with,
Mm,
I mean, in-store bots could be very valuable in terms of stocking and maintaining the store and so on and so forth. But anyway, I mean, and they have very large warehouses as well. So time will tell. But I don't see a Bezos Elon relationship too soon. All right, so this has been fantastic, Yashu. What a great introduction.
yes, sir. Yeah.
I love the way you think. I love your analysis, and look forward to meeting in person.
Yes, sir. Yeah, totally. I got to get out to one of these events at some point here.
Yeah,
It's a little bit far away. I'm in Vancouver, so it's a little bit of a plane ride away.
I've got good friends in Vancouver. I love the city. I love the city. So maybe I'll
Nice.
come and visit you.
Yes, please do. Right on. Thanks, Larry. Great talking with you.
Great talk. Okay, I'm going to end recording now.
Perfect. That was great.
I've created a website that is the most comprehensive resource for the Tesla investor. Please check it out. Simply go to my website at herbertong.com.